Welcome again to the National Federation of the Blind, Genesee County chapter.
You always say that, but it is us, the National Federation of the
Blind, Genesee County.
Genesee chapter. And here's your co-host, Mr. Leo Naper, aka Father Time.
You see how she took that? That's why she's here with me. And I don't know what Federation of the Blind messed up every time. Maybe because I can't see the of in it. But anyway, we have a very special guest here today. A very special guest. Matter of fact, he's going to be our keynote speaker at the gala. When is the gala?
Sheila? Now he's calling me his co-host name as well. We're really off to a good start this morning. He is going to be our keynote speaker at our gala, which is Saturday, June 24th at the Flint Institute of Art from 6 to 9 p.m. And just so that I can remind you, there's no ticket sales at the door. So please visit the Music Planet in Flint on Carpenter Road to purchase tickets, or ticketspice.com. Please. That's ticketspice.com. And as we used to say back in the day, the Music Planet on Carpenter Road. Get all kind of downloads, gospel music, anything you want. They've been in business for quite a few times, and we really appreciate them for what they've been doing and the sponsors they've given us. But today I said we have a very special guest here, worldwide known artist, Dr. Massey. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Well, doing great. You don't sound. You got to have a little bit more enthusiasm, okay?
I'm doing awesome. It's a great day, and another day. I always tell people when you get to wake up in the morning, you get another day to make it right if you didn't do it right the day before. So.
I like what you said, because like a lot of times, even with me, when I wake up a lot of times, I look around and say, here we go again. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be able to say, here we go again, and let's get it right. Anyway, but I don't know a lot of. I have to be honest with you, I had heard your name, but I never related it with an artist, anybody, and especially being over at the Flint Institute of Art. I was in there a couple of times, and someone had mentioned that you had did a painting in there, and I still. Yes. But just recently, I found out, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been talking about this man and been hearing his name all these years, and had no idea who he was. But I had no idea the impact that you've had in the art world. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So originally, I'm from. I'm from Flint. I was went to Flint Beecher High School. That's where I grew up at. Went to I played sports. I was playing football and running track up at Beecher, and I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Grand Valley State University, where I played football there and ran track. In high school, I was all state in track. I got up to Grand Valley. I was all conference, all district. I was up for All American. I suffered a knee operation, and because I got injured in the game, and it's kind of ironic because sometimes when things like that happen, one door closes and another door opens. That's where it's a true blessing. So I end up. My professor said, you need to go to Europe. We have a school over there, a sister school called the University of London, Slade Institute of Fine Art. And I ended up getting a scholarship to go over there. And when I went over there and got to see all the artwork, it changed my world. And I was there around when I was 21, and I came back and I've seen the world totally different. I was still interested in football, but football and the sports seemed like it took it was on the back burner because I put the art in the front. I just took the same discipline that I used for sports and I just put it into the art.
You
And
know,
eventually,
let me ask you a question real quick. Like we were talking yesterday, you did a lot of firsts as far as with school. You was talking about you threw discus.
yeah, I was a discus thrower. So discus in Michigan came out in 1976. I was only black in the top 5 in the state of Michigan that was actually throwing the discus and actually placing. By the time I got, so 76, 77 is when I graduated. I was all state in discus. I went to the state finals, and I won the regionals, went to the state finals. I ended up taking second, but yeah, I ended up taking second. So the first 2 ended up becoming all state, and that's how I ended up winning state honors though. But discus was pretty interesting because my coach was named Marty Crane. He went to the Olympics in Montreal, and he brought back a film on. Uh, it wasn't Jack. It was Jack Wilkerson. I think he was throwing the discus, and I looked at it on a reel to reel. He let me take home a reel to reel film, and each frame I was watching this guy how he was throwing the discus, and that's how I learned. And because Beecher we didn't have a real great facility. I mean, we still had cinder track, and so he took 2x4s and 4x8 sheets, 2 4x8 sheets, nailed them to the 2x4s, and chalk drew a circle on the platform. And that was how I learned how to throw a discus off of 4x8 sheets of plywood.
That's pretty, and also, you was talking about your knee injury. A lot of times when an athlete gets hurt, the world seems to collapse around him.
Right.
You had a lot of support too coming up, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, tons. That was the beauty about being in Beecher District, because the community there, the parents, the families, they were very supportive. I mean, even to this very day, when there was a game, if you didn't get there early, it's going to be standalone only.
Yes.
So, but the parents and the teachers were. I mean, it was a time, I think in the '60s, when the teachers also lived in the same community.
Yes.
That they served and stuff, which was really unique. And uh, so the teachers became our neighbors, and they lived in the neighborhood and all. But it was a very unique community, and still is to this very day.
Dr. Hubert, Dr. Massey, something else too, you had a lot of family support. And the reason I'm asking you that is because a lot of us that's blind or low vision, we don't, a lot of times the family don't really know how to support. And that's something that's really important.
Right.
And that's why I was
Yes.
asked about the support, because without that, we just kind of like flutter around for a long time until we get that person that can kind of stabilize us. So you had your family supported you, didn't they?
Oh yeah, my father and my mother, both of them were very supportive. My dad was an athlete, and he played basketball. Actually, he had went to school to Arkansas A&M, but he didn't finish. He went for 3 years, and then he got drafted. But and my mom, she went to school at Virginia State College, because she's from Virginia, but she did a couple years, and then she wasn't able to finish. But they were very supportive, um, and I was in the art, and a lot of times I know parents might not see there's any financial gain going into the artistic field, but I was really grateful that my parents, my mom and my dad, said that maybe one day this might feed you and all. And so it was just awesome support. They support us, me and my brothers and sisters, because I'm the oldest out of 4. And yeah, they were very, very supportive. And you need that.
Right.
You need that support, because that goes a long way, knowing that somebody has your back, and they're supporting you in your endeavor and what you want to do.
Let me ask you this. when you were coming up, were you scribbling on a lot on the walls or
Yeah.
your
No,
parents
but I was
put
doing.
that
He
down, put that down, boy. What's wrong with you?
No, but I did do a lot of drawing. My mother used to do. I remember my mother in the basement. She drew Mickey Mouse and Daffy Duck, and then and then my dad used to, because he used to work at the post office. He used to bring home paper all the time, and I used to draw on the paper. I didn't think nothing of it. I just like drawing.
Mhm.
It was peaceful. It was one of those things that you pass the time away by doing some drawing, or back then we were building model cars and planes and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting because coming up, back in the 70s or so, um, we did a lot of hands-on things, and we were very creative um, um, of doing things.
Right.
I mean, today you got the technology, and you got your phone and people on the phone and all, but we were hands on a lot of things. I mean, if we wanted to play some go outside and play. I mean, I don't know. I don't see many kids playing in the street, or you know um, playing organized baseball. All we needed
Now,
was a glove, a ball, and a bat, and then
now,
you might have six people and you form a team.
now it's electronic ball and everything's done on
That's
the
right.
screen.
That's right.
When you said something was really interesting that I thought when I was speaking to you before, and
Hmm.
about about posters, but how you was to work with posters and sign painting. Now, a lot of times when people think
Yes.
about sign painting, they're thinking, that you're talking about making a sign for Eat It Burger Joe's or something.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did you did sign paintings for General Motors and companies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So I worked for the company. It was Gannett Outdoor Sign Company at the time. But when I went to the Skills Center, and I had a commercial art class. I'm looking out the window, and there's a big Buick sign when you come into the city of Flint,
Yeah.
over by Bishop Airport. You come in, you see this big old sign that says "Welcome to Buick" or something like that. Anyway, they used to have cars on there, and I noticed one day the guys, they were hand painting the car. I said, "Guys, are those guys painting?" I had no idea they were painting that. I was just looking at it. I said, "Man, these guys look like they're painting," but I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't make no connection that down the line that's the thing I will be doing too. And so how I got into that, I met an artist by the name of Paul Collins in Grand Rapids, and he was a very prominent artist. Actually, he was the artist that really put me on that trajectory to doing the art and the large scale artwork, because he was a sign painter. Randy Brown was a sign painter, and he was the first artist, African American artist I ever met, that had a family, that was raising a family and being an artist, and he was successful at that. He was on Good Morning America. This is back in the '70s. He was on Ebony magazine, Jet magazine. He used to call me when he was out of town. Sometimes he was in Japan. Sometimes, I mean, he was traveling all over the world, and I was just really truly inspired. And he told me, he said, "You want to learn how to be an artist? You need to be a sign painter." So a sign painter is painting billboards, and billboards, no matter how photographic they look, they were all hand painted. They were done in oil paints. We painted 40 to 50 hours a week, every day, or every day, and for 12 years. Within a year and a half, when I was working for the company, I came in as apprentice. Within a year and a half, I became a journeyman. And I was painting large faces, celebrity faces, automobiles, all that kind of stuff. But that's where basically I got my training from, because I got to paint so much. And to me, the discipline of being able to paint every day, being able to draw every day, was just unbelievable to me. It reminded me of sort of like the 17th century Baroque, where artists used to, they just drew all the time, because see, they had no television 700 years ago, and they had no other distractions other than drawing and painting. So imagine just painting and drawing every day, 40, 50 hours a week, and that's all you did for your whole entire life. You can't help but get good. So 12 years of that was my apprenticeship program to me. And by the time the digital age came in and wiped out all the artists, I had already bridged over and started doing murals. And this is before murals even got popular. I've been doing murals since 1992
Dr.
in public
Dr.
art.
Massey,
Hmm.
I want to make sure the kids understand what you were doing when you keep saying signs. What he was doing, you see the posters you put on the walls today. Well,
Yes,
back then, what they did, they actually hand painted the posters. This is what he's talking
right.
about. A lot of the
Yeah,
posters that you see back in the day, and I've seen an old Buick poster go for as much as $25,000.
right,
So
right,
instead of taking a picture and digitally put it on a piece of paper, Dr.
right.
Manson actually had to hand paint them. So
Hand painting. Hmm.
who really inspired you?
To hand paint them or
No,
to
the artwork. Once you went to Europe, I mean, who ins
yes.
who really inspired you? Who's the person that really pushed you along and became your mentor?
Oh, well, it was Paul Collins and Randy Brown, um, but of course it all started from my parents because they were pretty instrumental in me doing the artwork. But when I my professor said that that there's a school that you should go to, so I went there. I ended up getting a scholarship going there. But I was really truly inspired by Randy Brown and Paul Collins, and you can probably see some of their work. Paul Collins' work. He's in his 80s now, and he's still doing artwork, and I still communicate with him.
Okay,
Yeah.
Your parents allowed you to live the life you want. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
you-
They gave me a lot. They gave me a lot of freedom to be able to do the art and to see that there was a reality to that, as opposed to saying you need to get a job. So so that, I mean, that right there, it, before anything else, that right there was the sort of the gateway for me having an opportunity to be able to kind of define myself as that artist and to develop myself as an artist without feeling that I need to have something else to supplement that. And one of the other things, and I try to tell students and all, even though you have a gift, but you don't want to put your gift in the front, or you don't want to put. I always say you don't want to put the baby to work when the baby hasn't matured in level. So when I say maturity, mature is your ability to be able to execute at the highest level possible. So so getting a job and working for somebody is not a bad thing. I just happen to work in the field of art, but any job that supports your ideals and your abilities to be able to create is a wonderful thing because it keeps the pressure off of your art until your art fully develops. When your art fully develops and it becomes profitable more so than what your job is, then you can switch over. But a lot of times students go to school, they get out and they just want to, well, I'm gonna go into my own business, I'm gonna create this artwork and stuff. Well, now the artwork is sort of stressed because now it's got to make money. And if it has to make money, the quality of the art would lag behind because it's under pressure. And you don't want to do that. So
Absolutely.
you want to have something, you want to have something to be able to afford you to do what it is that you enjoy doing and to develop that. And then once that development happens, that it becomes more profitable down the end, that it can sustain itself, then you can bridge over. But
Right.
in the meantime, you can support that by, when I say get a job, it could be any. I mean, they have so many. There's so many wonderful opportunities. We have a place called the Carpenters and Millwright, and they're looking for people to come in, and they will pay you to learn a skilled trade for 2 years, and then when you come out, you license. And so during that time, you're supporting yourself. You got a roof over your head. You're feeding yourself, and doing your artwork, you're developing your artwork, and your artwork is under stress and strain. And now you also have a skill on top of that. That's a beautiful blend.
Try to tell that to our young people and individuals, even ourselves, is that to set
Yes.
a goal, but don't, you have to crawl where we go. You
That's
have to
right.
crawl
That's
before
right.
you walk. And it's okay. It's okay
That's
to,
it. Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're not, but set your dreams or set your goals and write them down.
Yeah.
And go at it
Right.
step by step, 1 foot in front of the other. That's all.
That's right.
That's
right.
you were talking about you have a very unique ability. In fact, I think you've done something like that here at the Flint Institute of Art in Flint, and it's called was it Frisco?
Fresco.
Fresco, yes.
Yeah. So fresco is the it's painting and wet plaster. So Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel. That's a fresco painting. Okay, and frescoes are considered one of the hardest mediums to paint in because when you paint it, the surface is drying. So you got to move pretty fast. You got to be sure about yourself. It will expose weaknesses if you're not secure within your ability to execute, because the surface is drying. Whatever you put down stays down. Drips, right or wrong, is going into the surface. There's no way you can extract that. So you have to work through your problems on the surface of a fresco painting. So the oldest form of fresco is if you went into a cave. Cave is thousands of years old, and the cave is all limestone. There's limestones on the wall. Somebody takes the red dirt. The red dirt happens to be oxidized pigments. So the red dirt you mix with water and you paint a picture up on the wall in the cave, and you have cave paintings that last for thousands of years or so. So somebody came up with the idea of scraping the limestone off the wall of a cave, letting the air dry, and then adding water to it and turn to a paste and plastering. That's where you get plastering from.
Okay.
And you plaster, and then you take the red pigment or you take the oxidized pigment from the earth, mix with water, and you paint on the surface while the surface is still wet, and you have a fresco painting.
Now you're just one of how many people in the United States is able to do this?
There's less than this is more than, but there's probably less than 5, probably no more than 3 fresco artists in the United States.
So when I hear different things that you've done and you accomplished, it really lets me know, and especially when you're speaking, how important it is to have that support, how important it is to set goals for your life and let no one stop you, let no one interfere with your forward motion. And you also seem like you really have a passion for this. And I think a lot of our kids need to know if they have an accomplishment or they want to succeed in doing something, they can look at you and other people as a mentor, as a role model. And the things that you say are really helping. I'm hoping that a lot of the low vision and blind kids that's going to be listening to this realize that there's all types of opportunities. I know I heard a comedian say his mother used to tell him, you're not going to make money being silly. But yeah, he's like one of the top comedians. A lot of people say, what are you going to, are you going to make money drawing pictures? Look at you, one of the tops in the world. So if you have the gift, the ability to do it, put your mind to it and make sure you got that support in order to do it.
Right. And then there's also discipline. If you're in the art or anything that you do, take 15 minutes out of a day. Write it down on the calendar. A certain time when you start to do to develop your gift. If your gift is drawing, then you need to draw 15 minutes a day. That's all. 15 minutes a day and expand it to, 30 minutes. But 15 minutes a day, pick a time out of the day, and just draw for 15 minutes, and then put your pencil down and do some of the other things that you have to do. But the next day, you come back at a certain time again, pick up that pencil, and you draw again. I'll guarantee you, by the end of the year, if you did this every day, by the end of the year, you will see a difference in your abilities, in your drawing, and your abilities of thinking. It works with any discipline that you into, whether or not you playing a guitar, whether or not you're playing an instrument, whether or not you are trying to work on your ability to be an athlete, all that. You just need to put in the time and put in the work. And we all have the power to do great things. It's just a matter of just making commitment and being able to do those things, and making sure that you protect your gift with all costs. That means that, you don't let other stuff get in the way of your blessings that God has given you,
Yes.
as far as for a gift. So you want to make sure that gift is protected. I see that, like some athletes, like the NBA star, who was burnishing he had a weapon or something like that. He's putting his gift at risk, and he's not protecting that. And plus, he's not surrounded by people who are supportive of him being successful. And you're only as good as the folks that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with good people, people who are ambitious, people who are trying to do things, then you can't help but do things that are good and ambitious. So this, and people give you value. People who you surround yourself with give you value. If it's good value or bad value, they give you value. So you want to make sure you surround yourself by people who are trying to do some things.
You have
that are good.
A lot of your artwork is here in Michigan, isn't it? Now, down in Detroit, you have a mural, don't something?
Would you
I
share
have 7. Mm-hmm.
Would you
I have
share
17
where your artwork is at, so that our viewers can look up and go and see? Would you share a few places that it's at?
Yeah, so I designed the floor at the Charles H. Wright Museum. I did the campus marshes. I did the Federal Reserve Bank in the city of Detroit. I did Center for Creative Studies parking lot structures, 30-foot by 30-foot tile mural. I did Paradise Valley, used to be Harmony Park. It's one of the oldest parks in the city of Detroit. I redesigned the park. There's 20-something medallions that's there, and it's all in terrazzo. I did the Detroit Athletic Club. I'm the first African-American artist to ever be commissioned there since 1915. I did 2 fresco paintings up in there. I did the IRS building on Michigan and Bagley. I did I did Tabernacles Church. I did 25-foot by 15-foot stained glass in the city of Detroit. I did neighborhoods where in Rosedale Park, I did 8 tile murals on 8 different dugouts, and I had 300 people, 100 people a day assist me on doing the tiles.
Wow.
And in Southfield, I did Lawrence Tech. I did 6 monoliths that's made out of tile. We just completed the obelisk in Southfield this past week, and I'm doing a fresco painting at the Huntington Banks place. It's their headquarters, 3 doors down from the Fox Theater. I'm doing their lobby.
My goodness.
So it's that's just in Detroit. I have pieces in Grand Rapids. I also did the piece that's off of Saginaw Street. It's kind of faded now. Saginaw and a street it's near Saginaw on Detroit Street in Flint. There was a large mural on the Marion building, something like that. It was
That's your
6
work.
stories or so. That was me.
That's your work.
Yeah.
You know something, you know, since you asked that, I think anybody in Detroit, if you look around enough, they're gonna see you there.
Oh yeah, I'm all over.
I can tell, and I'm familiar with the one here in Flint. I've seen that so many times. That's your work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's faded. Hopefully one day I get to go back and repaint it and bring it back to life again. But that was I did community forums for that to really celebrate the community. Because I'm really interested in telling the stories of the community and the stories that's in the community, and putting them in mural form. I just did one at Stellantis. Stellantis is Chrysler. Chrysler was bought out by Stellantis. We just did a 800-foot mural we just completed, and I'm getting ready to start up a 1,000-foot mural,
Oh,
15 feet by 1,000 feet long.
So a lot of these billboards, by you doing working in the billboards for so long, this transitioned to you really well into what you're doing now.
Oh yeah,
Isn't God good?
All the time. So you know, and how I got into fresco painting is because I found out that Diego Rivera was a sign painter when he was doing frescoes. So, and when he did the frescoes at the Detroit Institute of Arts back in 1932, he had some assistants. One of his assistants was Stephen Dimitrov, and he was from Flint, Michigan. And he went there, and I guess back in 1932, he was a young guy, and he worked with Diego Rivera. So X amount of years later, they were in their 80s when I met them. He ended up teaching me and a few other people. There were 12 people in this class. They were trying to pass the art on how to do frescoes. And fresco, the process of doing fresco has not changed in 700 or 800 years from the time that Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel. It's still done the same. We have to hand make our paints, have to grind pigments, have to hand plaster a wall. You know, you have to do all that. And I ended up learning
about this, and let me interrupt you, but I want to make sure that I get this in here. You told me that they had to reverse engineer the fresco
yes.
in order to get you in order to learn how to do it.
Yes.
So you had to I think the word, you had to take everything apart. Correct?
Yeah. So we had to reverse engineer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went down to Mexico City to see Siqueiros, Orozco, and Diego Rivera's work. And I was taking pictures to see how they were doing portable panels back then. That was in the 1930s. So 1930s, they were doing portable panels. I went down there in 2000, and I believe it's 2006 or so I can see how they were doing their portable panels, because that's one of the things that we were doing for the Flint Institute of Arts, was to create the mural in another studio while they were doing the renovation at the Flint Institute of Arts. So we replicated the structure of how it was built here in Flint. We replicated that here in Detroit. We built the panels, had the structural engineer come in and fabricators come in, and we replicated that wall here in the studio here in the city of Detroit. Created the frescoes, created 20-something panels, had the panels shipped out and installed at the Flint Institute of Arts. And that's how you have the fresco that's up in there. And the fresco is 17 feet by 88 feet.
That is so impressive. You know, when we look, a lot of times I think when we look at an art piece, especially something like that, we look at it and say that how beautiful it is, but when you start to think of the work and the thought and the passion that a person puts into it, all of a sudden that art comes alive and it's part of that person. And then when you do these murals for the city, this becomes part of that community. And I think if people look at it differently, I think they will learn to appreciate it more and exactly
Oh
what
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's you know, the beauty of it all is it's the science, it's the math, you
Mhm.
know, it's all those things rolled up in one. Science. The science is doing calculations for a weight load of something that can weigh close to 500 pounds to a ton, you know. And then the math comes in on how do you break up space to create a composition so that you're able to create a piece of artwork that's fluent, but yet it holds together and yet it's still pleasing to the eye. So there was a mathematician called J. Hembridge. Dig Rivera studied up under J. Hembridge. He was a mathematician that showed him how to break up space on a flat surface. When I say break up space, is that you have to have sort of linear lines, diagonal lines, vertical lines, so that you put down first, and then you create your composition. So, for example, you have a skeleton in your body, but if you didn't have a skeleton, where would you put your heart at? And where would you put your lungs at? And where would you put your brain at? And where would you put your muscles at if you didn't have a skeleton? So basically, I build an armature or a skeleton for the compositions that I create when I do these pieces of artwork. And that's one reason why I can organize things and create things in a way that it creates fluency. It's not a stagnant visual piece of art, but it's a fluent art that has a lot of depth. Because I don't deal just on the flat surface. I deal in with infinity. Infinity is that physically, you can touch the wall and you feel the surface. But infinity, you can look at the wall and your eye can go back as far as you want it to go visually.
Dr. Massey, I'm going to ask, can you tell us a project or showing that you did that was most rewarding to you or the most significant or had the most impact?
Yes.
I would sometimes say my first time doing this, but
Mhm.
but now over the years, there have been a few things and just certain
Yeah.
things stand out.
So there's two pieces that really that I did that I think are very significant. One was the Charles H. Wright Museum, because that was a piece to celebrate the African American experience. We have the largest African American museum in the United States that was designed, built, and created by African Americans here in the city of Detroit. And the floor, I designed the floor 72 feet in diameter, and it tells the history of the city, not the history of the city, but the history and the culture of African American experiences. Around the actual design that's in the middle of the floor is tiles that have names of people who made major contributions to the African American experience. So we have scholars that do research and say, well, this year we're going to place. So I met Mae Jamerson. Mae Jamerson was the first African American woman astronaut that went into space, and then there was another general. I forget what his name is, but he was placed on the floor because he's deceased. So, but it was just a way of celebrating the African American experience, and then plus the African American Museum, it's a rotunda, right? Yeah. So we have the only rotunda other than the one in Washington, D.C., where we have African Americans laid in state, like Coleman Young laid in state on my floor, Rosa Parks laid in state on my floor, Judge Damian Keefe laid in state on the floor, where lines are backed up all the way around the building to pay their respect and their due to these great people and these people who have made an impact on our lives. And Aretha Franklin laid in state on the floor at the Charles H. Wright Museum. And and because of the piece that's designed to celebrate African American experiences, we have a real unique spot here in the United States that's in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
Wow. Well, Dr. Massey, we really enjoyed. We could sit here all day and listen to you about this. I've
Yeah.
learned quite a bit. I really have. You know, one thing, you're really down to earth, a really humble person. You really are.
Oh, thank you so very much. Yeah.
All the accomplishments that you've had, to meet you, you could say, hey, let's go get a cup of coffee and I'd have to pay for
Yes.
it, okay? But really would like to thank you.
Thank you.
Cannot wait for you to get up here to hear you speak to some of these the kids and to the
Yes.
Our federationists.
Yes.
Yes.
We just can't wait. And we're honored again, as we stated. And please, we hope Mom will be there. You
Oh,
know,
my mom will be there and stuff. My
awesome.
dad has moved on. He was 88 years old, but I couldn't ask for a better father
Oh,
and
yes.
and better parents.
Does your mother still stand there and go, all right, don't mess up now, don't mess up?
Yeah, I know. Hey, my mother is 88 years old. She still has her flip phone. She still drives a car, and she still lives in a house, and she's still independent. And so she's doing quite well.
What a blessing. Yes.
When you said it, I could hear a lot of things. She still talks to her son too.
Oh yeah, yeah. She does. You know what? Actually, here's a funny one. I was at the church because we brought my mom for Mother's Day, and I was getting ready to introduce my mom, and my mom looked over. Don't you do that? But she didn't want to stand up. But my wife was next to her and said, "Oh, and this is this is my mother-in-law, Betty Massey," and she had her stand up, and my mom stood up for that. But one of my church members at the church, he said, "I seen your mom look at you," and I said, "You're right," and I didn't do anything. I just sat right there. She told me what to do, and I did it. So, she still got power. So
Yeah, bring up a child in the way he should go. Yeah, he won't.
that's right. That's right.
I'm a product, and I think you are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
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 My
mom still got the look. So
yeah.
The looks to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Well, at least they tell me, my mother, if she raises those shades and she look over
That's
at you, you know the rest
yeah,
of it.
that's right. That's right.
You know the rest. Well, we thank you for taking your time and spending with us this morning. Again, we want our viewers to know that the ticket sales are going very quickly, so we want you to visit the Music Planet on Carpenter Road.
Right.
I'm gonna let our host here say the Music Planet.
That was good. That was good. That
I'm
was
trying.
good.
At ticketspice.com. Join us. It benefits the families and the people that are visually impaired and awareness, and it allows us to live up to our motto: live the life you want.
And like I said,
That's right.
we're gonna be putting on our high hats and our black tie. We're gonna be stepping out Saturday night.
Yes.
We're gonna have a really good time. Like I said again, here you get a chance to hear Dr. Massey speak again, and that there's gonna be live entertainment, a little food, and you just have a great time to kind of put the makeup on and dye the gray hair black.
Right. There you go.
Just come out and have a good time.
Have a good time.
Remember
Right.
the Music Planet and ticketspice.com. Where they're going really fast. If you want to be there, you better call today. You got your ticket,
right.
Dr. Massey?
Yes, sir. I do.
Right.
Again, we thank the Genesee District Library for hosting us each month. And we thank all of our supporters that have helped make this event a great event. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
All right.
Next month, same time, same library.
All right. Thank you very much.